I'm back. It's me. Yes, you're only staring at clouds because I didn't have time to film an intro and outro, so you get clouds. But you get a DIY, which is exciting, right? But before we get into it, I just wanted to mention that I have a second channel called Allie's Mercedes that you should totally follow because this one is kind of dying, and that's why I started a new one. So go subscribe. Anyway, today we are making a Mean Girls palette because it's recently been October 3rd. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
It's October 3rd.
Okay, so the first thing I did is I took a piece of cardboard and I used this ColourPop Zodiac palette that I have as like a reference, and I just started to cut out like the base of the palette, if that makes sense. So I just took a pencil, traced it, cut it with some scissors, and then I took my X-Acto knife and my ruler and I scored the like two lines there where it's gonna bend, and that way it just bends easier and perfectly straight, so that's a little tip. And then you should have like the finished outside of your palette. Well, it's not finished, but we're gonna finish it later. So then I took some foam board for the inside, and again I traced the outside of the palette, but then I made it a little bit smaller because you need it to fit inside the cardboard, and if it's exactly the same size, it's not gonna work very well. So then I cut that out with my X-Acto knife, and for some reason my camera didn't film that, but just cut it out with your X-Acto knife. So then I went back to the outside cover, and what I did is I found this picture of like the burn book cover. It's literally all I googled. And then I printed that out on some sticker paper, and then I cut that out and then stuck it around the cardboard. So basically just on top. And then I took my scissors again and kind of like cut the corners and like there where the fold was, so that way I could fold the rest of the sticker paper around, so that way it was kind of just like overall covered. And it didn't stick that well on the cardboard, so that's why I add some tape here, as you can see. So that's a little tip. Then I had some more sticker paper that I printed out, just literally a pink page, because I didn't have pink sticker paper anywhere. So that I just added onto the inside where the mirror would be, because I don't have a mirror, but if you have a mirror, you could totally stick one there. So this is what the outside kind of looks like so far, and now we're gonna work on the inside. So I took this random cap that I found, and I traced 12 circles onto the foam board, which is where I wanted the like eyeshadows to be. So next comes the most tedious part, which is where we're gonna have to cut out those circles. So I took my X-Acto knife and just cut out all the circles. And yes, this took very long, but that's what you have to do this. So as you can see, this is how it looks like in the end. I covered it in that pink sticker paper again. I also cut the corners just as we did before with like the outside cover thingy, and then just completely covered it so that way it was all pink. And then to like get the holes back, I just like cut little triangles out the holes, if that makes sense. It makes more sense if you like watch what I'm doing. And then I just stuck my finger through there and just kind of folded the little triangles around so that way we'd have a hole again. And then I just repeated that with all the other 12 little holes. And this is what it should look like. And yes, it kind of looks like a mess, but I promise it'll get better soon. So then I just took some like regular, I don't know, use it for everything glue and glued that inside. And now we are soon done with the palette, but the last thing I did is I took those circles that we cut out before, and I kind of, like, I just used my X-Acto knife and like cut them in half, if that makes sense. And then I added some glue to the back and then stuck them inside the hole. And this kind of like just cleans up the look of it, and it also makes the hole less deep, so that way you need less eyeshadow to fill it, if that makes sense, because I don't have that much eyeshadow to fill the whole thing. So next we're gonna work on the eyeshadows, which is not too hard. But what I did is I went to Essence and I bought the Not Your Princess palette, the Too Glam to Give a Damn palette, this fixing powder, this eyeshadow, and this Manhattan palette, because I was trying to get as many shadows as possible that were similar for as cheap as possible, so that's what I got and what I started working with. So the first shade I started to do or work on is Butter a Carb, and I used this like gold yellowish shade because in the photo I couldn't tell exactly if it was like a gold or more like a yellow, and I feel like it was like a mix, but I think gold definitely works better. So I crushed it up, added it into this little cup here, mixed in some rubbing alcohol, and then added it into the first hole. I pressed it with my highlighter as well as this little piece of paper, and then it was in there, you know? So that's how easy it is. You're just gonna continue with all the other shades. So next I used the the Manhattan palette, and I used the top left shade for this like green color. Again, I just add some rubbing alcohol, mixed it up, pressed it in the palette, and we're done. Next I used this like matte brown shade, and just kept repeating that. It's not that hard. So the next shade I used is this hot pink color right here, and then I used this like maroon purplish matte shade. Then I used the fixing powder for the white. Then I used this pinkish shimmery shade. I mixed these two to create like a silver. I used this light pinkish matte shade, this blue color, as well as the black eyeshadow in the palette. I just pressed all the shadows and then boom, here's my palette. It's not completely done yet, but almost. So the last thing I did is I took a marker and I wrote down all the little shade names underneath, and then I was done with the palette. So this is what it looks like. It looks like a tiny mini burn book with eyeshadows in it. And here I'm swatching it for you guys. So as you can see, the shadows really aren't that good. Like, they're not that pigmented, to be honest. From what I've seen online, the swatches of the original palette were better, but then again, I was trying to get like the cheapest shadows I could find to like make this with, because I didn't want to buy like, I don't know, Urban Decay eyeshadows because they're expensive. The shimmery ones were definitely better than the matte ones, and yeah, I guess that's just that. But here you can see the swatches in case you're interested. And yeah, that was it. That's how I made the palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you all so much. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the channel, give a like, leave a comment, turn on notifications, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye!